Hey, well, hello and welcome everybody. Welcome to our Wellness Wednesday. My name is Sam and I am really excited to be with you here tonight. For those of you who have been with us on these Wellness Wednesday series, you know that we are all about helping you to understand that your body is capable of so much more than maybe you've been led to believe, and that actually we can activate our body to really help us gain an advantage on this world. Because I think a lot of us are looking around and we see that it is becoming a more and more toxic place to live. There are things bombarding us left and right in our environment. There's things added to our food, to our drinking water. There's the modern technology that we're all using tonight, right? With probably Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, all of the things that are emitting radiation and causing damage ultimately to the cells of our body. The question is, what can we do about it? And so here on Wellness Wednesday, we want to show you how you can use natural means, okay? Natural herbs, natural compounds, things in your nutrition to actually activate the genes inside of your own body for better health in every area of your body. Now, tonight, I know we're very excited to dive into activation and all that that entails in many parts of the body, but specifically, we're very excited to talk about GLP1. Many of you may have heard that term. There's a lot of buzz in the news about this term. A lot surrounding the idea of weight loss, and I know a lot of people are interested in understanding that, but again, remember, we are here to talk about how we can do things naturally, and that's what we're excited about. So we are going to dive into all of these conversations. I have a very special guest here with me tonight. You all are in for a treat because we have Dr. Goodman with us, and I'm going to read Dr. Goodman's bio so I don't skip anything here, because he's quite a special person that we have with us here. He is a pediatrician. He's a medical doctor and a pediatrician. He is the former chair of pediatrics in Southeast Georgia Health System. He is also a former associate clinical professor of pediatrics at the Medical College of Georgia, former chief of quality assurance at Martin Army Hospital, Fort Benning, Georgia. I also appreciate Dr. Goodman. He is an Army veteran, and I feel a special bond there as a former Marine, and my husband as a military veteran himself. So thank you for your service there, Dr. Goodman. He's a fellow of the American Academy of Pediatrics, a fellow of American College of Pediatricians, member of the American Academy of Anti-Aging in Medicine, a member of the Institute of Functional Medicine, and a member of the Southern Medical Association. He also sits on the scientific advisory board of a major health and wellness company, and he has been highly sought after as a speaker, and he is published multiple times. And so we are very excited to hear from Dr. Goodman. He's prepared a really exciting presentation because he is very well known for making very complicated science kind of interesting and fun to learn about. So we're excited to turn it over to you, Dr. Goodman, and we appreciate you so much for being here. Please go ahead and take the screen.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's just absolutely a privilege and honor to talk to my LifeVantage family every single time you guys invite me. I've got, of course, I think that most of you know that I also sit on the science advisory board for LifeVantage, and we're involved in product development and troubleshooting issues and coming up with new solutions for problems that we all face. And I think it's also important at the outset, we should just say that tonight's presentation is primarily educational. There are also a lot of my own opinions in here, so I'll be speaking to that. So I don't exactly represent the company in tonight's talk. I represent primarily myself. And also, as a medical doctor, I think it's also important for me to put out this disclaimer that, of course, I cannot treat or diagnose or mitigate someone's disease. We're talking about an educational thing, and then give you information so that you know more about these products and how they're used and what the concept of the science is behind it. And I'm going to try to keep today's talk sort of simple. My job is not to complicate things, but to simplify things, make it fun, give you guys some words and some new ways to approach it, and perhaps there'll be ways that you can talk to your audience and the people that you want to help in a way that could best help them. So I'm going to switch over to my slide presentation. I've got some really good slides, I think. They're very engaging. Let me see if I can pick this up. And then, Sam, if you will just tell me that you can see them when I activate this for me, please. Okay, so as Sam mentioned, I'm a 14-year veteran major in the United States Army Medical Corps. I'm a board-certified physician. I still see patients. I'm actively in a practice. I speak at international events and on the television. And I practice integrative medicine and epigenetics. That's actually what I do, besides pediatrics. So I use all of these tools in my practice. The great news is that you don't have to be a doctor to use these tools. These are products that are available to the public, and you guys are just blessed and just so privileged to be able to be part of this LifeVantage company. So I'm just super excited about that. So let me flip to the next slide. The topic of my talk today is the power of activation and our genetic code. Now, one thing that is very clear is we were fearfully made and fearfully and wonderfully made, as it says in Psalm 139, 13, 14, by our Creator. And so we're very complicated organisms with lots of secrets hidden within us. And, as part of the discovery as a scientist, it's to reveal those secrets so we have a better understanding about how we can make ourselves live a better and healthier life. We want to be there for our kids and for our families. So I think that's important to have some just basic definitions. So a lot of you have maybe seen this slide from Time Magazine where it says why your DNA is not your destiny. The new science of epigenetics reveals how the choices that you can make changes your genes and those of your kids. I mean, that's crazy, right? So it's true, though. Our DNA expression can be changed. And the science of that is called epigenetics. And epigenetics, the word basically means above the genome, meaning higher than the level of the genes. So that's just a really exciting whole field. And it's basically spawned the work of what the LifeVantage company is all about, which is activation. Now, another important word and a definition. Yes, go ahead.
It's an unmuted line. Let me get that.
Okay, thank you. Another important word to understand is that of the exposome. Now, exposome is merely that, what we're exposed to in the world. It's a very simple word, right? Exposed, just like you have a microbiome, that's the microbial world within you, we have an exposome. So if you have an exposome, you may not even realize what's happening to you from your exposures in the world. And like Sam mentioned, it could be everything from UV radiation to 5G to Wi-Fi to sunlight to chemicals that you've ingested in your diet. All of these things have a cumulative effect on us. So the implication here is that in epigenetics, our world can actually change our genetics. Sort of a scary thought if you think about it. Sort of like that DVD disc. See the shiny one that doesn't have any scratches on it? That DVD disc, think of that as your genetic code. It's all the information that's in your genes. Well, what about if the world scratches that disc, like the one in the back? Now that disc won't play anymore. Your genetic code can't be read, and that's where your body starts to make mistakes. So I think that's really a great analogy to use, that of a CD or a DVD disc that has been scratched or defiled by the world. So what can we do about it? Well, one of the things that we can do about it is we can biohack. Now, I know that sounds like sort of a scary word, but it really shouldn't be, because really what it means is life improvement. And if we further translate that word, it's taking advantage of your life, LifeVantage. Where do you think the name came from for the LifeVantage company? Came about life improvement. So this whole science is called activation. It's the science of living longer, improving our lives. And I want to be a big part of it. Now, the option is if you don't do activation, then you're letting yourself be hijacked. You are letting your body be taken over by the world and letting it impact your natural genetics to the point where cumulative damage occurs and you might be actually hurt. We don't want that. So the opposite of that is using nutrition. Nutrigenomics. Here's another word. They're all very simple words if you take them apart. Nutri means nutrition. Genomics means your genes. It's how nutrition's and your genes interface. What you put in the body is just as powerful an influence over your genes as what you're exposed to in the world. So this is your weapon, your secret weapon, if you will. So yeah, really, it really does influence your genes. What you put in your body and what you ingest can affect how your genes are expressed. That is super exciting, you guys, because it means you can get a leg up on this situation. Now, I mentioned the microbiome before. Microbiome is another one of those words. It's just merely the small world within us. Most people think of the microbiome as just in our gut, but it's on our skin, it's in your mouth, it's in your hair. It's that small world of microbial organisms that lives in you and on you. Most of us think about it, though, as it relates to the gut, and so much so that we have referred to the microbiome as the second brain, meaning the gut actually has a mind of its own. Now, that plays a very important role in one of our topics that we're going to talk at the end of this discussion, which has to do with this whole GLP1 activation scheme. So you realize that the second brain is your enteric nervous system. That is the nerves that line your intestine and all of the organisms that are within your intestine that have an effect on your nervous system. So that's why we call it the second brain. Okay, let's look at this. This is a diagram of the cell. We're talking about definition. So this is a very interesting alphabet soup. Alpha, by the way, is the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet. Bet is the second letter, which is where the word alphabet comes from. So let's talk about DNA. DNA is in the nucleus. So we're pointing here at the arrow where the nucleus is. Now you'll notice also, and I'm going to let you read into this a little bit, but you'll notice that most of these letters are three-letter words. Okay, so three-letter alphabets having everything to do with our body. I'm going to let you just read into what that might mean. Okay. RNA is in the cell. It's in the cellular portion, not in the center of the nucleus, okay? Everyone heard about that messenger RNA thing. That was a problem. How about ATP? ATP is merely how our body gets energy from food. And you see the arrows pointing to those mitochondria. That is the source of our energy system. They're the factories for our cells. We need all of that to live. So just realize that the secret to our lives is in the cell. Now, going on further about this alphabet, one of the words that, or three-letter things that we talk about is NRF2.
Dr. Goodman, you muted.
Okay, let's see. What happened there?
You're good now. I hear you. And you left off with
NRF2. Not sure what happened there. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, now hang on a second. I am going to move my microphone closer. Can you hear me now?
You are good. I hear you.
And louder probably, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, NRF2 is the master regulator of cell protection and oxidative stress. So it controls a lot of things. If you heal the cell, as we referred to the cell before, I like to say all is well. It's such a powerful and central cog in everything that we do in LifeVantage and the LifeVantage products. The second letter, three-letter word that we're going to talk about is NRF1. And this has to do with that very thing that makes energy, the mitochondria. Remember, NRF1 controls mitochondrial creation and repair. It's a genetic pathway that, when activated, tells the mitochondria to become more in number and to become more resilient to destruction. So I think that would be a good thing to have. So remember again that the mitochondria are responsible for ATP, or energy. The next one in the series is NAD. NAD, big word, but I'm not going to say what it is. It's too hard to pronounce. NAD has to do with longevity, DNA repair. Yeah, that could be important. Cell cleansing and detoxification. How do we get rid of all the junk that's built up? Well, NAD happens to be the molecule that does that work. So we have these pathways that we have learned to activate, and it is at the core heart of the LifeVantage company and the main flagship products. So again, having to do with longevity. Okay, now this is what you guys, I know, have probably all come for tonight, and we're going to talk about GLP1, GLP2, PYY, and CCK. Yes, there are other letters involved here. You didn't think that GLP-1 was just the only trick pony in the LifeVantage arsenal, did you? We're using GLP-1 because, it's a catchphrase. Everyone's heard about GLP-1. GLP-1 exists in the pharmaceutical world as a product, but we're talking about natural ways to turn on GLP-1 through the science of activation, just like every other product that LifeVantage does. Now, in this case, we know GLP-1 has been involved in the use or the benefit for weight control. Okay, it has really, really incredible implications because it's part of the gut-brain axis. Just like we had that second brain that we talked about with the microbiome, that second brain is also operative in this whole GLP-1 system because GLP-1 is a peptide. A peptide is like a small protein. It's a couple of amino acids that's put together in a small chain, and they signal the body. It's almost like a neurotransmitter. The thing is that these signals come from our intestine. And when the intestine is in a good situation, a good state, food comes through the body, and the body senses it, and it releases this hormone or neurosignaler from the gut called GLP-1. So clearly, if you can signal it, if you can activate it, we can address some of the main core problems in our population, which is overweight and obesity. And you figure that 2/3 of the US population is overweight and 1/3 of the population is obese. So it has a huge implication for health. Now, this is a diagram, and it's very simple, and I'm going to walk you through it. And I don't want your eyes to roll up in your head because you saw, a schematic that you don't understand. But just know this is your brain, this is your intestine and your stomach. And you'll see that those four hormones, CCK, GLP-1, GLP-2, and PYY, are secreted by the area below the stomach. CCK is made in the first part of the intestine called the duodenum. It's actually made by eye cells. The cells are called eye cells. That's just a name. Don't ask me why they called them that. But GLP-1, GLP-2, and PYY are made by L cells in the intestine. And they're in the lower part of the intestine, the second part of the small intestine, and the first part of the large intestine. Now, it just so happens that if you look at this graph, GLP-1, GLP-2, and PYY, if you follow this line, it goes all the way up and it talks to your brain. It negatively impacts food intake. It also stimulates negatively gastric emptying, tends to slow gastric emptying, so you feel fuller longer. It's sort of a way to psychologically impact your eating. Of course, the purpose of it is that after you eat, you're supposed to get the signal that you're full and you're supposed to stop eating. That's what GLP-1's job is. And it also has some other effects. GLP-1 affects insulin production and also affects blood glucose levels. So that's a great thing. That's just the natural hormone's normal effect. Now, I want to be clear, there is a pharmaceutical product that is based on GLP-1, and it is a pharmaceutical product. It's a drug. And clearly, it is a strong drug, and there are many side effects associated with it. We are talking about a natural alternative to that, okay? It's still GLP-1, but in a natural sense. So let's drill down to this L cell thing that we talked about. Remember I said it was cell signaling. This center green part is the L cell. And here are your foods, lipids, carbohydrates, and proteins. And they're broken down and they pass through the L cell. And the L cell has this ability to sense the presence of those digested food products. And when it does, it secretes these hormones. Look at all these hormones. PYY, GLP-1, GLP-2, and CCK. Those are the only ones I'm going to talk about tonight. PYY just means peptide YY. That's what it's called, PYY. And it's not something that you heard about, but I'm going to tell you that all four of these are operative in the products that we're talking about. We call it GLP-1. That isn't the name of the product, but I'm going to let you know that all of these hormones are playing a role in the way that our product works. It's ingenious. Now, let's look specifically at GLP-1. We're going to break down each of these individually, but I want you to get a good handle on what we are doing. So if we talk about GLP-1, everyone heard that it affects weight and it affects the way that you eat and your sense of fullness. Okay, so if we look at that, look at its impact on the brain. GLP-1, now they use big words here, but basically it decreases food intake. The second one is decreases hedonic food intake. That means cravings. Decreases body weight. Now, something you didn't know is it also improves neuroprotection. So GLP-1, the natural hormone, improves the brain's ability to basically sustain itself and not be injured. It also improves learning, memory, and in animal models, reward behavior. So these are just curiosities about GLP-1. It's quite a powerful hormone. How about the heart? Did you realize that GLP-1 impacts the heart? It improves glucose utilization. It decreases lipid burning. It increases cardiac function. It is cardioprotective, meaning it protects the heart, and it reduces inflammation. How about that? That's pretty amazing. Might be good for the rest of the body, huh? Not just weight loss. How about the pancreas? Improves insulin secretion. You know, you need insulin in order to use sugar. It decreases beta cell proliferation, and which basically those are the cells that make insulin. And it decreases beta cell. Apoptosis is basically a fancy word for cell destruction. So it helps to reduce the cell destruction of the very important cells in the pancreas that make insulin. So that's important for us. How about on adipose tissue? What does it do? Well, it increases the breakdown of fatty tissue. It decreases the amount of making new fatty tissue, and it decreases the fat mass. So those are all good things. How about as far as its effect on the gut? It decreases peristalsis. Now that could be maybe a not good thing, because if it slows your gut down, you know, that might be a problem for some people. Well, I'm going to tell you primarily it is a problem in the drug class of GLP-1. I have not seen in the studies that we've had that it is a problem for our natural product. And I won't go too much into the detail about why that is, but evidence suggests in our case studies that the slowing of the bowels does not seem to be an issue. Now, with regard to muscle, it increases insulin sensitivity. You know, that's a big part of a lot of people's problems in the world when they get overweight, is that they're said to be insulin resistance. So it helps with insulin resistance. And it increases glucose uptake by the muscle cells, meaning you're going to use glucose more readily. On the stomach, it decreases gastric emptying, meaning it slows down the stomach and makes you feel fuller longer. In the drug class, we talk about it causing a lot of burping, or even to the extreme, maybe causing vomiting. I don't know that there have been any such reports with the natural alternatives, so that's a good thing. And then as far as the liver goes, decrease in fatty liver and decrease sugar production by the liver. So these are all the functions that are known of GLP-1. Very exciting. Let's talk about GLP-2. We already talked about GLP-1, so I'm going to go over to the right side of this diagram. Remember, both of these are made in the L cell of the intestine. Well, interesting that GLP-2 is also having some function on the body. It improves learning and memory. It increases the intestinal barrier function, meaning leaky gut symptoms seems to improve because it helps the cells to proliferate and to heal themselves. And it decreases the breakdown of cells that have been injured. There have been theorized the use of GLP-2 in certain conditions where gut integrity is a problem. So by decreasing inflammation, that's a good thing for people who have problems with digestion. So that's GLP-2. Let's talk about these other two ones that you don't know anything about, PYY or peptide YY and CCK. If you look at the diagram here, look at CCK, GLP-1, and PYY secretion. They all talk to the brain, and they all talk to the stomach. And look, they inhibit eating. All of them work to inhibit eating. So we're not just talking about GLP-1 here. We're talking about a system that uses all of these hormones to improve our the way that we look at food, the way that we enjoy food, the way that we process food, so that we can get in charge of those hunger cues that we suffer from, that inappropriate eating behavior that drives us to crave and to snack at inappropriate times. We refer to that as food noise. And it also, as I mentioned before, decreases gastric emptying, meaning the stomach stays full longer, and it is also helpful to the secretion of insulin, as I said, to help to improve glucose control. All right, so here's the take-home points. I mentioned we are wonderfully created and very complex beings. We have this alphabet soup, all these three-letter, words. They're not three-letter agencies, they're three-letter pathways that we have innately as part of our system. DNA, RNA, and ATP are at the heart of how we function. But we're talking about pathway activation of our genome. NRF2 pathway to reduce oxidative stress and to reduce cell damage and protection. NRF1 for mitochondrial repair and improvement of energy in ATP. And NAD having to do with detox, DNA repair, and also longevity. All three of those are super important if you want to be activated. I'm all activated on every single one of those. I have a dog who's activated as well. Every family member in my family is activated. So I think that even before one starts to talk about GLP1 activation, I think it makes a lot of sense to be activated if you can. It may not be in everybody's budget to do that, but if you think about the ability to improve yourself and to make yourself as healthy as you can possibly be before you even get started on this weight loss journey with the new GLP-1 that's going to be released in October, I think it just makes sense to have your body as healthy as it can be. And then lastly, we talked about intestinal signaling, using the L cells in our microbiome to utilize these four intestinal signalers, part of the gut-brain axis, GLP-1, which is the mainstay, GLP-2, which also has functions about gut integrity and proliferation of cells, PYY, which is primarily a signaler to your brain to tell you not to eat, along with GLP-1, and also suppresses gastric emptying. And then lastly, CCK, which is a parallel to that, but maybe quite not as potent. So those are the main things. I'm going to stop my share here. And I just want to say that we are now introducing LifeVantage as a company and the science team at LifeVantage. We have tackled one of the most important activation pathways that has huge implications for people's health. And there are going to be millions of people who are going to benefit from this. So I just think it makes perfect sense for you to get educated on this, know some of the speak, know some of the words, know what we're dealing with. And I'm going to tell you the specifics about the product I can't go into because I can't even tell you what the real name is. It's not released yet. They're sort of dripping things out a little bit at a time. And as you get to be aware of this and as you speak about it and as you see people who are in the trial benefiting from this, when it's released on October 11th, I think it's going to take the world by storm. Sam, I'm going to bring this back to you.
Wow, Dr. Goodman, the chat is kind of going crazy. Everybody's really absorbing all this information. And I think everybody is ratcheting. All the people that they know need to know about this.
Right.
I've been blessed myself, my family and I, we've been activated for the past 11 years. So I can attest to that personally, how important it is to activate as many pathways as you can, of course, naturally. So LifeVantage, like as you covered, we started with NRF2 activation. And for those who are, kind of newer here, that is what I would consider the primary foundation. So Dr. Goodman says, get as activated as you can before this launch of this GLP-1. At the very bare minimum, I would say NRF2 activated, right? So you can start reducing that inflammation, start reducing that oxidative stress in the very cell. Would you agree with that, Dr. Goodman?
Yeah, I would. I think NRF2 is the basis of everything. That's our flagship product. It's where I started myself. Then I think the natural, people want sort of like a pathway of what should I do in like what order to like activate myself if I had to make some choices. I would say NRF2 and NRF1 at a minimum. Then my next step would be is to go ahead and add the liquid collagen, which is also an activator. We didn't even talk about the liquid collagen product, which is a collagen A21 activator gene, but it also reduces collagen destruction in the body. So it's not just collagen as a supplement. The crazy thing about it is our research shows that an interesting interaction occurs when you take NRF2 and collagen. They sort of activate each other to an extent, whereby the SOD, which is one of the main antioxidants that our bodies produce, is increased by 27 times. That is absolutely huge. That means whatever action that NRF2 has by itself, when you take activated liquid collagen at the same time, you enhance that antioxidant capability that's causing, normally your body's being destroyed by free radicals, which oxidizes you, it burns you up essentially. By having these huge amounts of antioxidants in your system, you basically pulverize that process. And so that's one of my favorite combinations. And then the third way that I would activate is to do all three of those. Do the tri-synergizer, meaning NRF2, NRF1, and NAD, and then add the collagen afterwards if you can. That's sort of my go-to for most people.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Would you like to open up for questions to the crowd here?
Yeah, I think we can open up to questions. I may be limited in how I can answer some of them. And again, I would just caution my audience a couple of things. One is we're recorded, so we have to remain compliant. Number two is we can't talk about anybody's specific circumstances, disease situations, or things. But if you want to ask me questions to the extent that I can answer them about the GLP-1 product and how to use it, the information that's out there, I'll be happy to share that.
Okay, great. If anybody would like to raise their hand, either physically or hit the Zoom.
And you know what I would suggest, Sam? Why don't you have them ask the questions in the chat, and why don't you pick some questions out of the chat? That way we're not opening up a lot of mics, because it could be a real nightmare trying to hear in that situation. I would just say put your question out there in the chat, and then Sam will pick them off and she'll rephrase it for me, and then I'll try to answer it the best I can.
Perfect. That's why you're the doctor. You got the brains. That was a good idea. All right. So let me ask you, Dr. Goodman, can we ask about, I know you cannot diagnose anybody individually. Is it okay to ask, are there certain limitations with certain procedures that people may have had? Is something like gastric bypass surgery, if they had that, is that a problem?
So all I can say is that you need to consult with your doctor about your specific circumstances, okay? But being that these products are natural and foods and not drugs, there should be no major contraindication to taking these for the desired benefits of natural GLP-1 activation. Now, whether or not you in your individual situation will have a side effect or a negative thing, I can't speak to that because there's no experience with that. But in terms of just a general statement, I don't think that this product would be harmful for anybody, and for the most part helpful for people. And I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Others are asking, what about children? I'm thinking it's going to be a similar.
Yeah, it's going to be a similar thing. Of course, LifeVantage is very careful in the compliance component of this to not market any of their products towards children. I think you have to just use your common sense, and that's not going to prevent people from doing that. And so, what you do behind your closed doors is your business, so to speak. But I would just say that I can't imagine that there's anything harmful in these products that would hurt anybody. So use your judgment, and if you're not sure, ask your physician.
Okay. One question is, once you reach your goal weight, will you need to stay on for continued use with GLP-1 system?
So this is like different than like the pharmaceutical GLP-1. Okay, so think about pharmaceutical GLP-1. You are using, in that instance, a synthetic form of GLP-1, and you are targeting in a very severe way the desire to eat as well as the processing of food, and that can have its own consequences. What is reported in the world of medicine, of course, where these products are used, that people reach their weight, and then what they find is when they stop using it, they start gaining all their weight back. So in this instance, we're talking about, GLP-1 is a natural hormone that is your ordinary signal from your gut to tell you to stop eating, okay? We're talking about at those kind of levels to enhance that and to activate it and to make it more powerful than because maybe your GLP-1 is underpowered. It's possible that your GLP-1 is underpowered, and that's why you might have an eating issue or a weight issue, okay? So it would make sense then if you are getting good results from the natural activation of GLP-1, and then all of a sudden you take it away, perhaps it makes more sense to be on it in a maintenance way. Of course, we're using this as a daily product to take. I'm going to tell you, I have used it for the last 3 weeks. It definitely works. I'm not in a position myself where I have to lose weight, but I wanted to experience what people would feel. And I got to say that it's not anything that is super overwhelming. I think any product that one uses, it's possible to override it. In the case of the pharmaceutical, it's very difficult to override it because you are using such levels that in that instance, most of the time it's given as a shot, and there's no way to go back from that. You take the shot and it lasts a week. In this instance, you're using it on a daily basis. So there's that difference. But I don't want to make a direct comparison between the pharmaceutical, which this is not. We are activating GLP-1 naturally. It's physiologic. It's in fitting with how your body was designed. And I don't think that anyone is doing anything in a severe or a bad way.
Thank you. There's a lot of kind of repeat questions. A lot of people are asking, are there contraindications? Is there an issue taking it with medications? Dr. Goodman, I think you're kind of covering that, because I think what people don't realize sometimes, they assess things in a pharmaceutical light because people are used to that. They're used to kind of a laundry list of side effects.
Well, where I think a couple of things. If I can just speak now, this is my opinion, you guys. I'm not speaking as a representative of the company, but I still will be compliant when I speak. If you think about when someone is faced with a weight loss situation that they feel like they really need to get on it, and I'm not talking about a health condition, right? I'm not talking about a disease process. That there are other reasons that people use GLP-1. But when we're talking about for the purpose of weight loss, which is what we're talking about, if one is trying to make a decision whether or not they need to use a pharmaceutical versus use this GLP-1, this is a nice alternative for someone who might be nervous or scared and or possibly financially constrained that they couldn't do the pharmaceutical one, okay? Now, the second instance is, so if you're teetering on the fence and you don't know what you're going to do, but you really think that you need something, I think this is a great product for that. On the other hand, there may be people who are on the pharmaceutical and maybe they are done with it. Maybe they are at the point where, they don't really want to be paying out the money. Maybe they've accomplished their goals and maybe they need to transition. Maybe this would be a good solution to sort of ease into it without having the jolt of being suddenly off of their pharmaceutical GLP-1 by naturally activating their own GLP-1. So I'm not telling anyone to come off of a GLP-1. Your doctor, and generally speaking, most people are on a GLP-1, and I use GLP-1, the actual drug in my practice, okay? So I've seen all cases, all scenarios. And I would just say that this is a nice thing to have in your toolkit. And I think actually physicians will probably look at this as another alternative, another way to handle people's weight loss in a more natural way. People who don't want to put out the money, maybe it's not covered by insurance or whatever, this is a very, very fitting way to use GLP-1 and get all the benefits from it. Not to mention, there are those other benefits of GLP-1, like I said, that have nothing to do with the gut. They have nothing to do, well, I shouldn't say with the gut, but with weight loss. There may be people that want to do natural GLP-1 for the other cognitive and neuroprotective benefits, for the cardioprotective benefits, for the liver benefits, for the improved lipolysis or the improved fat burning benefits. So there are lots of different reasons to enhance your natural GLP-1. Even kidney function has been shown to improve with the use or the increase in GLP-1. So this is just a great, great product across the board.
Thank you, Dr. Goodman. I think that we've mostly covered the questions that are coming in, a lot of repeat type of questions, and I think you beautifully covered all of that. I will say a lot of people are asking, will there be a recording? You know, how can we get more information? First and foremost, go back to the person who invited you here tonight. They have all the information that you need as far as getting the list of specific products that we referenced here with LifeVantage. They can even kind of coach you through how to prioritize, like Dr. Goodman was speaking about, NRF2, NRF1, activated liquid collagen, NAD. And then there's other products, right? There's other products that we have as well to support the gut. Go ahead, Doctor.
Yeah, I was going to think, LifeVantage has a promotion right now. It's called the Kickstart Bundle. And it is sort of like an introductory pack of NRF2, Axio, which is the brain food powered drink. And then there's also the liquid collagen, I believe, is in that pack, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? I think it's collagen, NRF2, and Axio. Am I right on that?
Not exactly sure if the collagen is in there.
But it's called the Kickstarter Bundle.
Yes.
And someone can correct me on the line. I'm not looking at the product right off the bat, but I know that. So, I look at it this way. If you're really interested in GLP-1, and I got to tell you what, when this thing is going to be released on October 11th, I think LifeVantage is going to have a hard time keeping it in stock if they don't actually sell out in the first day. I really think that that's what's going to happen. I don't think that they are even ready for the barrage that's going to happen. So here's my thought. If you're thinking that this is fitting for you and this is something you really want to get on board, and I can't understand why anybody wouldn't want to do it, to be honest with you, and you probably know someone, if nothing else, you would gift it. I would say have some product that you're already on from the LifeVantage company so that you already have your account ready to go. In other words, if you're first trying to enroll and get yourself on and establish yourself and then are going to try to order GLP-1, by the time you hit the button and put it in your cart, it won't be there. I think you're better off to get started on some basic activation product, whether it be NRF2 or collagen or the combination of the two. Find one that fits your budget. And then when the time comes that GLP-1 is ready to go, you'll probably get some feeder information in an email from LifeVantage saying, we're launching tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Be sure to order something of that nature because you're already in the system. And it'll be a simple thing to go to your account and order it and get it purchased. And you won't have to, you'll beat the crowd and more apt to get the product. The second point I'd like to make about the GLP-1 system, and again, I can't give you what the actual name is. It's a very nice name. Is that this is a system. It is a combination of 2 capsules and a drink mix. And I can't tell you the specifics what's in it, but it requires both of them to utilize. Okay, they work together. You cannot buy the pills separately than the powder, and you can't buy the powder separately than the pills. It always comes together. And that's just the way, because it is a complete system. It's very, very well thought out. And you need both to make it work. So just in terms of how it's used, because there were some questions, maybe some of the new people here who don't know anything about it, is you take the 2 capsules before your first meal of the day, whatever that is. So you can take it with anything you want. You can take it with any of the other activation products. It does not interfere. You can take NRF2 and the GLP-1 activator at the same time. You just don't want to eat yet for 30 minutes. Once that 30 minutes has gone by, you can go ahead and eat whatever you want. The drink mix is best suggested as taking it at least 30 minutes after the pills, anytime during the day, and you can either do all 4 scoops of the drink powder in whatever drink or mix that you want. You can put it in milk, you can put it in soy milk, you can put it in water, you can put it in a smoothie. It mixes with anything. It'll mix with Axio. You can put it in your coffee if you want. You can do anything you want with it. But some people may want to spread it out so that they're doing maybe 2 of the scoops in the morning and maybe 2 scoops in the afternoon in an Axio, say, or in their drink or their liquid or beverage of choice, just to have the continuous longer acting effect. But the dosing is 4 scoops. That will last 1 month. Very pleasant tasting. It's vanilla flavored. It has no real sweetness to it. It doesn't masquerade or cloud anything else that you put it in. It doesn't it's not overbearing. It doesn't have hardly any calories in it itself. It is not a protein powder. People have asked, oh, is it a protein powder? No, it is not. It does have about 50 calories for the whole drink mix that you can mix into anything. If one is intermittent fasting, I suggest doing the drink mix later in the day so you don't break your fast.
Wow, incredible information. Thank you, Dr. Goodman, for answering all that. Guys, there's so much information that Dr. Goodman shared, and that's going to continue to be unveiled in these coming weeks. I think the best thing at this point would really to be staying as plugged in as you can, as Dr. Goodman said. If you're not already activated, if you're not already in the system, get back with the person who invited you and ask them, how can you get started? It's a very simple process. What I love about LifeVantage is there's no strings attached. You can very easily be a happy customer, and you can get the best price as a customer by subscribing, and you can easily cancel, edit, push out that subscription at any time. So you don't have to have that fear of being locked in or anything, committed to anything that you don't want to be committed to. So highly encourage you to get activated.
Yes, Sam, can I be so bold as just to say something? Most of you who are here tonight either are here because you want to hear more about the GLP-1 or you don't know anything about activation. You're first learning about it right now. But a lot of people who are here are also entrepreneurs. They recognize that this is a disruptor product. This is a disruptor product in the world. You have the world of pharmaceuticals that's dominated by big pharma, and folks are making a lot of money on it, okay? Imagine if you become a resource for the people that you love and care for, and you have access to this product that you can encourage other people to use and help them have a better life. Well, if you are that person, if you're the person with the knowledge, you don't have to have all the knowledge, you just have to know how to get it. It would make sense to maybe even drop your price point a little bit, because for those that are, quote, consultants, for a minimal fee, you can earn the rank of being a consultant and have 20% off of whatever you buy. But in doing so, you also gain access to an entire website that becomes yours, and you can direct people to your website to get the GLP-1, and guess what? LifeVantage will pay you a commission, and you can offset your own stuff. You can pay for your habits, so to speak. Originally, when I got started in LifeVantage, that was the exact reason that I got started, except that I had such dramatic activation stories. The mere fact that I'm still alive is testament to the fact that activation works, because in my own story, both my parents died at a young age due to health conditions, and I figured that was going to happen to me. You know what? I activated myself and I changed my genetic potential. And that allows me to be here, and I'm thriving, and I feel like a 45-year-old, and I'm in my mid-60s. So I just want to tell you, that can be you too. So if you see that as a possibility, don't just be a customer, don't just be a subscriber, be a consultant. It doesn't cost that much more to do that, under a couple $100 in most cases. So you can actually do it for less than that. And the people who are consultants here can give you the information how to do that. But you'll save yourself tons of money ongoing, 20% every single time, and they'll pay you for it. So that's like a win-win.
I love it. I would say it's a no-brainer, but it takes brains to see.
Oh, it's absolutely a no-brainer. And the mere fact that you activate yourself at the basic level to, hey, listen, I told you that in animal models, activation with NRF2, maybe I didn't say it, will extend the life of in mouse models by 7%. Extends the life in animals. This was published at the NIH, and it was also published in PubMed.gov in over 31 peer-reviewed articles by major institutions like Harvard, MIT, University of Colorado, the Ohio State University, which is my alma mater. I mean, this wasn't the LifeVantage doing the tests or doing the studies. This was outside universities being published in journals, all talking about how NRF2 activation with Protandim, which is the name of our product, Protandim NRF2 Synergizer, actually changes lifespan. and reduces aging and reduces oxidative stress by incredible numbers. Nobody has ever done that. And that's where LifeVantage Company got its fame. We are the activation company. We activate everything we touch. And it's all done by science. And that's why what this product, when it's being released to GLP1, is completely researched. This is not just me telling you it works. I'm telling you there are studies and there are individuals and there are gene studies that show that this increases GLP1, GLP2, PYY, and CCK. The studies have been done and this stuff is being published and we're getting patents on it. And no one else has the science. No one else has the technology but LifeVantage. And that's why you should be darn proud to be a member of this organization. I am every day that I am. That's why I wanted to be on the science advisory board.
Absolutely. We've been here for 11 years and LifeVantage just keeps getting better and better. It seems too good to be true, but it turns out that it's even better than it seems. So
It's amazing.
I can't really say any more, Dr. Goodman, of how grateful we are to you, to have a man of your caliber and your expertise and your professionalism, to be partnered here with LifeVantage. First of all, that says a lot. You know, you're a medical doctor. There's a lot of things you could be doing other than something like this, and you see such value here, and you spend your extra time late at night here to educate people. That says so much about you and your servant heart. We really, really appreciate you for being here.
Thank you so much, Sam. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you all so much for being here. What a group we've had here tonight. As far as the recordings, guys, please get back with the person who invited you. We keep these recordings published in our education groups on Facebook. We don't share a YouTube link for these just to keep everything well protected, so we're not scattering this all over the internet, because we want to be very compliant and make sure that our doctors and our medical professionals are well protected and they can speak about what we have here kind of freely. So please just get back with the person who invited you, get as much information as you need, and we hope that you'll choose to get activated. Thank you all and have a wonderful night. God bless.
Bye now.